Did he ever put on a show yesterday? You can't tell anyone anymore how thin-skinned he is, this aggressiveness, Friedrich Merz. It's really impossible to overlook now. By the way, if you want to support this channel, I would really appreciate a like and a subscription. Yes, it really helps my channel a lot to convince even more people not to vote for CDU and SPD anymore. So, back to the context. Did you catch that this morning at the Entrepreneurs Day? If not, just listen in for a moment.
It was close, but I didn't get it. So now I have to govern together with the SPD, and that's not so easy.
Mr. Merz, I want to bring you back down to earth for a moment. I know the truth isn't really your strong suit. But we're not allowed to call you a liar, so I won't do that. You have a razor-thin majority with the CDU and SPD. By the way, later on I'll reveal something about a CDU member who doesn't even dare to leave the CDU anymore. And how serious the situation with blackmail has become in the CDU, but more on that later. Now, he not only narrowly missed the majority, he's now at the point where, in the next polls here in Germany, he'll probably only reach about 30% approval together with the SPD. You shouldn't forget that when you listen to this, chaotic chancellor, there's really no other way to describe him anymore.
I mean, this is really total escalation. You could also see. She clasped her hands in prayer. Disbelief, yes. Ms. Trumpf-Kamüller said, it just can't go on like this anymore.
And the man aggressively goes after anything that isn't left-wing. And now I'd like to clear up a couple of comments that I keep getting. Yeah, you keep saying things are getting better here in Germany, but in the end, nothing actually happens. Well, just go back a year and take a look at how much support Germans still had for this chancellor back then. And today, I really want to thank all the supporters of this channel. Thank all the supporters of all the other channels as well. Together, as one big community, we have almost won this fight. And please don't get discouraged. Keep giving it your all so that this man finally packs his bags and leaves. So we can bring the entire small and mid-sized business sector to our side and finally end the reign of terror from the left and the CDU, along with their campaign of fear. From the left and also from the CDU at the same time. Listen to the next clip.
What really bothers me is that we now have a society that generally thinks negatively about entrepreneurs. It's not everyone, for God's sake, but there are many entrepreneurs who are often targeted. We have this super rich bashing, and we also have the image of the big family business owner as an enemy. And larger family business owners are now even being described as a threat to democracy. They want to drive billionaires out of the country.
And the Chancellor is playing along and supporting the whole thing. Yes, exactly. And now I want to tell you a little story. I'm not allowed to tell you who it is. In any case, it's a long-established CDU entrepreneur who has had enough. And he wanted to leave the CDU and then discussed it again. He was then told, among other things, yes, but you will lose all your seats and positions if you leave the CDU. And well, professionally, you'll be finished then, my friend. Not just you in the party, but also you in your company. And since this man also has children, 2 small children, he withdrew out of fear, yes, out of fear of the aggression from the CDU. So he withdrew his resignation from the party because he was afraid for his livelihood, because he was afraid for his children. And that's the climate in the CDU. That's what we see every day. And now even Friedrich Merz confirms that.
So how are we supposed to encourage young people to become entrepreneurs when we have such an atmosphere in society?
Thank you. I'd like to make a very practical suggestion to you. I've noticed that in recent years, the number of people from the business sector who are willing to participate in public discussions has significantly decreased.
Thank you. That has nothing to do with the fact that I also lost my livelihood because of it. That has nothing to do with the fact that people who publicly spoke out against this system, for example, during the major pandemic, were ostracized afterwards. That tax authorities were set on them, that the police were set on them, that Antifa, that leftist mobs really harassed these entrepreneurs. What I'm telling you now. The European Parliament, you can Google this, yes, paid activists to take action against entrepreneurs who expressed criticism. Yes, of course, sure. That's why the number of those people has kept decreasing. Not everyone can stand up like I did and say, I'm fighting for freedom now. I completely understand that. That's why I'm always so grateful that you support this channel. With thanks, with memberships, with every single subscription hype, everything you put in, because it's a fight, a class struggle that doesn't stop. And it's a class struggle that only we, the German people, can end ourselves. In all other cases, we will go under and we will have nothing left. And now listen up.
There aren't many left who are willing to appear on a talk show on a Sunday evening. Yes, it's exhausting and sometimes very frustrating. And sometimes you encounter a high level of ignorance there. But I simply advocate for it. I say what I think, because we have to do it anyway. It's not always fun either. But I encourage you, ladies and gentlemen, to go out into the public more. Do you have podcasts that you regularly produce? Do you regularly go out for interviews? Do you regularly go out to talk shows where you engage in debates? There aren't that many anymore. On Sundays, I meet more people on the golf course than in the talk shows in the evening.
And why don't you do that anymore? I can clear that up, yes. I can make a very clear statement about it. I can even back it up with data. The last public appearance I had, yes, that was around 2022, maybe 2021. That's when all those records started coming out. The internet was full of criticism of the system. Laws were passed that were unconstitutional, so I was on a huge stage. That was at Invest. In Stuttgart, I stood up and said, dear people, I'm vaccinated. I'm not feeling well at all anymore. I think that has something to do with it, and all these things that happened, they need to be dealt with somehow. Everyone was shocked, yeah. After that, I didn't get any more interviews on Inside Wirtschaft or anything else. Suddenly, I was a complete pariah. Nobody wanted to have anything to do with me anymore. All my appointments were cancelled. All public appearances were cancelled. How could I stand there and say I got sick because I think I got vaccinated? I didn't even state that as a fact. After that, as I said, the tumor appeared, or many of you know my story. And with that, it was over. And after that, I only received documents. The tax office wanted up to 1.35 million euros from me. Even though I only, I think, earned just about 200 euros or €1, they shut everything down. They kept digging until the end. And 3 years later, this case finally came to an end. And apparently what they did there was unconstitutional, long story short. And what they accused me of? Well, at one point, the tax office even accused me of forming a criminal organization. All of that was dropped later on. That's beside the point, but that's how entrepreneurs in Germany are treated when they express even a hint of criticism. And that's exactly what my buddy in the CDU confirms, who says, hey, I can't. I have the perfect example. You were my neighbor. After all these years, if I leave, they'll tear me apart. That's, well, National Socialism par excellence. If you play against the system, they'll destroy you. Especially when you have a lot to lose. Thank you, Mr. Merz, for bringing that up so nicely again. And I can really speak here, yes, from my perspective, from my perception. So, and for the nice comments I get afterwards. But now you're also advertising to earn money with it. I'm advertising so that I can deregister my business, or well, not really deregister, but scale down my AI consulting agency so that I can dedicate myself to politics. Yes, that's why I'm advertising. Because with sponsorship contracts that I get myself, and by recording these videos myself, I get a large part as compensation for my work, so I can buy food for my children. And so that I can sit down for many people out there in the communities, write applications, and help make things better here. And for those who always criticize this in the comments and say, yeah, but you're also advertising and begging for likes and hype. Let me ask you directly, when was the last time you ran for election? When did you write applications? When was the last time you went somewhere as a knowledgeable citizen and really tried to improve this country. And for those of you who always support these videos so much, I love you for that, because that's exactly what we need to wake up more and more people. And more, and I'll add a little metaphor here. If you keep scratching away at the foundation of a house, eventually it will collapse. That's not today, that's not tomorrow, it might not even be next year, but eventually it will die. And someday, when this structure collapses, something new can emerge. And this new thing, don't we want to help shape it ourselves, or am I seeing this wrong?